Hi everyone, it's me again, your favorite little happy painter friend. We're going to work on seahorses today. It's going to be a happy little simple seahorses, I call it. If you looked at my other video about how I came up with the sketches, I'm going to hold it up so you can see it because it's pretty light. Yeah, let's see if you can see. These are the sketches I did. This is kind of the idea we're going to shoot for on this painting. First thing we need to do is the background. The background is going to be, you know, kind of like this kind of look, like these pictures I found. If you've ever seen them, and I've had seahorses before, they're very delicate creatures. They're not real easy to keep. They do like to eat brine shrimp, also known as sea monkeys. So, with that in mind, these are the colors I'm going to be using. And it doesn't have all the primaries, in fact. It's only got these right here. There's no red. We're going to just stay with the blues, the greens. We got a brown, like an ultramarine blue. This is kind of a chrome yellow, white. This is kind of an olive green, aqua, like a teal green, and then an aqua. I use these colors a lot, so I actually bought those like that. You can mix them yourself if you want to with blue and yellow and white and green and come to that same thing. I do it to save time, but you can do it. So we're going to take our big fat brush. We're going to take some of this teal and this blue and this other blue, kind of mix that together. This is an 11 by 14 canvas, and I'm going to do it in a vertical. I'm going to go with some nice colors on this one. Once again, you're going to start at the top, and I'm going to use a lot of water on this one because I want to do it like a wash. And if it starts to drip down your page, your canvas, that's quite all right. That's kind of the look I'm going for because it's water after all. So if it drips down your canvas, that's something you may want that. You may hate it. You don't like it. Okay, fine, whatever. Once again, I'm going to do a darker side and a lighter side because if you've ever spent any time under the water, like snorkeling or anything like that, the light will come through and you'll have some areas that will be darker and lighter, just like above water. And when you try and paint underwater, it's interesting because the light is refracted. There's another one of those multi-syllable words. And it kind of comes down and refracted light has a tendency to kind of break down. So we're going to kind of just do some simple watery background here. This is not a really difficult painting. It's not one you're going to spend hours and hours on. You can if you want to, though. I'm not going to stop you. It's your prerogative. Okay, we're going to do the outside edges once again, so that if you're like me and you don't have tons of money to spend on frames, or just feel like you'd rather spend your money on things like the electric bill or, you know, car payments, insurance, stuff like that, you know, instead of frames, you can do that. If you want a frame, though, and I would highly recommend thrift stores, because you can get yourself some old frames really cheap, and you can fix them up. You can paint them to match your art. You can redo them if you want the distressed look. Well, they're already there, and save a bunch of money, and they're really unique. I've sold a lot of paintings and drawings with used, old, repurposed, whatever you want to call them, frames. I very rarely will buy a new frame, because most of the ones I like are these old, kind of beat up ones anyway. So you see how you get this nice kind of wash, like watercolor look to it. That's what the advantage of acrylic is. Acrylic is very versatile. It dries fast. It's inexpensive. And you can kind of do what you want with it. If you want to add some more green, you're going to go with like a darker aqua color over in here. The seahorses are usually in warmer water. There are some that are different, but they like to hang out in eelgrass. They also like to hang out in sargassum, or sargasso, depending on where you're from. And the type of seaweed they really like to hang out with. There's some that look just like sargassum, and that's how they keep themselves from getting eaten up by everything under the sun. So I'm just going to kind of go in here and add some of this greenish stuff. And you can do, once again, a light touch. You don't need to pound this canvas. We're going to take some of this brown, maybe a little white. Here, I'll hold it up so you can see it. We're going to mix this kind of funky color down here where there might be like a little bit of the bottom. This is shallow water, okay? Yeah, kind of comes down and does this. So we're going to get this kind of neat aquamarine background there. And don't worry about your fingerprints that you get on there when you pick it up. It's not the end of the world. You can just simply take some more paint and kind of do this and dab on it. These are like shadows. They're going to kind of come up like this. And it's going to drip because I've added enough water to let it drip. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Once again, you have to have sound effects, right? This is kind of your lightest area right in here, and then we have this neat kind of drip weird stuff, which is completely up to you if you like this effect. If you don't, you can have it all nice one tone. If that really disturbs you, it's your painting, by the way. You can turn the brush sideways too. It's okay to do that. And kind of do this and dab it. And what that's going to do is kind of give like the background of, say, some plants and grasses back here. But, you know, because once again, the farther away they go, the harder they are to see. And they're just kind of shapes. So. And then if you want to leave it light up there, I'm going to leave it light up there because that's looking up in the water, and it gets lighter as you look up. As you look down, it gets darker. In fact, I may just want to go darker down here like this. I'm going to throw some more down here with some brown. Because this is kind of looking down towards the bottom. This is why my easel has paint all over it. Okay. There we go. And this is a very versatile background. You can do a lot with a background like this. If you wanted to do any kind of fish or jellyfish. Jellyfish are really easy. I might do a jellyfish one because I've done the jellyfish in a paint along and they're super easy to do. They're fun. You can make them any color you want. And they're really kind of neat looking when you're done. So here, boom. Now we need to let this dry. See, you have light, medium tone, dark. This is going to be a little darker. It's like you're looking through water, okay? So let that dry. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and then we'll start our happy little seahorses. All right, I'm back. And our paint is a little drier. It's still not dry. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some grass, because you know, very rarely will you see seahorses hanging around just swimming out in the open, because they are just somebody's dinner waiting to happen if they do that. They like to hang on grass because they have prehensile tails, which means their tails are like happy little another extra arm. So we're going to take and make some seagrass. We're going to go with some of this olive green color, and we kind of drab it down with some of these. You can drab it down with some brown, and then if you want to bring it back up, throw some yellow in it, so you get kind of this seagrass kind of olivey color. Okay, and I'm using my round brush. And now we're going to draw this grass. And if you look at the picture of the grass, you see how it's different looking depending on how the lights hit it. This looks like it's in a tank with a dark background, but basically it looks just like grass. So, and since we're going to have 3 happy little seahorses in this picture, and I've got paint all over everything, our grass is going to kind of come up and do this kind of thing. So, you know, think about when you're doing this, where you're going to be putting your seahorses, and that they need something to hang on. So you're going to kind of come up from, I would recommend starting at the bottom. Kind of come up like this. And turn your brush as you do it, and then you'll get a different angle on it. It's not all going to be the same width. And it kind of moves with the water. And then if you pick your brush up slightly, see, it kind of does this number like this, see? Now you have grass. What? Yeah, it's crazy. And then we're going to have some coming over here. I'm going to do this number with it. It kind of crosses over. There's some that's going to be darker than the others, some that's going to be lighter than others. If you're going on a brighter background, you may want to change the color just so that it's easier to see. And the nice thing about the round brush is it does a lot of the work for you because it's already got the shape. And the ends of the grass are kind of round. They're not really sharp like, you know, your yard grass in the yard, okay? It's also called turtle grass. It's another name because, believe it or not, turtles eat it. And I also learned that that's only when they get older. When they're babies, they eat jellyfish and things like that. And then it's going to come all the way up like this. And it's one of those things that's really, really essential to the ecosystem in the bays, and that's why there's all these regulations about not running your boat through the grass, because it takes forever for it to grow back. And meanwhile, all these little critters that are swimming around can't eat it or live in it, like seahorses. And yes, there are seahorses that do live in the bays. They float around a lot. You see them in the summers. They come into the bay. On the sargassum, they float in from offshore. So, you're going to lay out your grass so it starts to look more like grass. Because we're going to have seahorses hanging on this. So remember, we're going to have a seahorse here, we're going to have a seahorse here, and then we're going to have another one down here. And I believe this one down here, we're not going to see all of him. So, it's just going to be part of him. So just make it kind of interesting. Don't spend 2 days making grass. I mean, you can if you're into that, but that's a little crazy. Kind of comes up like this. And this seahorse is going to be kind of doing this. So this is going to be shorter. This is going to be higher, longer, bigger, because you've got a seahorse up higher in it, so it's a bigger clump of grass that's coming up. So let's see, you can round off the edges a bit if you want to, like this. This is maybe a bigger blade that's coming down like this. Because remember, as it gets closer, it's bigger. So maybe it's a different color. Maybe it's got more green in it. Let's throw a little blue in it. We're going to do this. It's a little more defined, like this. There we go. Because it's up closer. It's kind of like if you've ever snorkeled or gone snorkeling and you're sitting there looking across the water and you're just looking at a little section of water and you see these, you don't see them at first, then you stop and you really start to look, and then you start to see all these little creatures. It's like, oh, I didn't see that. Some of them are creepy. Yeah, it's like, ew. But some of them are really interesting, like seahorses. It's like I could sit there and watch seahorses for a really long time because they're really neat to watch. They move so slowly. Okay, so go ahead and you know, decide which ones you think are in front of others, and you can add a little more color to those if you want, or not. And then you can do this number where one kind of comes off another like this. Alright, and do stuff like that. So they kind of look like snakes, I guess, headed up, you know, because the water's moving. When the water moves, they move. Okay. Okay, do this. There's a little one right there. There's a little doohickey down there. You don't want them all the same size. You want some that are going to be smaller. Like so. There. Because there are going to be some that are farther away. Some that are closer. Like so. There we go. Okay. Now we have our grass. Okay, and then let's see. Let's do another one right over here. Like right about here. Don't run out. Don't freak out if you don't have enough paint on your brush. You want a good enough quantity of paint on there so you can see it. Okay, and this one kind of comes all the way down like this. And just weaves around like this. Okay, and then this one here, let's see. Let's do this and have another one like this. Like that. Okay. And let's see, because we're going to have one hanging right here. And then we're going to have another one kind of hanging here. And then we'll have another one right in here. Why not? My brush decided it wanted to do one there, so we're going to do that. Okay. Now, seahorses can be all different colors. If you look at this, you see there's kind of a reddish ochre kind of one. There's yellow, kind of a yellowy ochre. There's pinkish ones. There's bluish ones. So, and if you want to decide to go crazy with colors on these and make them really bright, you can. I have another little happy palette here of some crazy colors. I have neon pink. This is crimson. This is a kind of a scarlet. This is a very, very pale pink. It's a fluorescent orange. This is phthalo blue, ultramarine blue. This is a lime green and a purple. And this kind of gives me a lot of colors to choose from. The nice thing about these neons, I like to use them sometimes if you really want those things to jump out. You add a little neon to whatever one you want to jump out. Like when I paint flamingos, I use that neon orange sometimes. And the pink, because if you've ever seen real Caribbean flamingos, they are seriously bright. Okay. And you can use craft paint. You don't have to use the super expensive paint. You can just go buy the little craft paints in the little containers that are pretty inexpensive. You can get them for $1. And that way, you know, you don't have to break the bank. But if you want to invest in some good paints, go for it. I have both. Depends on what I'm doing. I have my yellow still over here, so let's see. Let's gonna start with throw some yellow on this and some of this red in here. Okay, I'll show you. I got red and yellow. This kind of scarlety looking. Okay, and then some more yellow. So we're gonna start with this kind of color first. I'm gonna throw some of this. Now white. You're going to need some of that too. See how light it gets. You throw this white in here. And the reason for that is my pinks decided to roll all over the place. Is so that it's more opaque. So that you can paint over this and not have it flying off. So we're going to start up here. And you're thinking, Oh my God, I can't do it. And if you want to look at your little happy picture, you can even do this and put it next to your canvas if you want to, so that you have it right next to you. I would not recommend having all the seahorse going the same way, unless you're really wanting it to look like that. I would recommend having 1 and 2, and I would not do 2. I'm like firm believer of 3s and 5s and odd numbers, even if you only see part of the other one in another spot. So let's say we're going to go with, we're going to start right over here. And I want to make, well, I'm going to start up here. Let's start up here. And their faces are like triangles, okay? So we're going to go like a triangle face. Okay? And a skinny nose. And a triangular face. See? Boom! It's the head of a seahorse. It's really hard. Now you have the neck. And they curl around like this. Okay, and his tail is going to go right around this. And if your other paint is still kind of wet like mine is, don't freak out. I'm just going to add some more yellow. Okay, like this, like that. Now you got your basic shape. And we're going to throw, let's see, and if you notice on a seahorse they have ridges. So when you're doing this, think of little ridges that kind of come out like this. Okay? There we go. And I'm going to grab my smaller brush now, my skinny brush. There's 3, basically you don't need a ton of brushes. You have, let's take some white, because I got a lot of paint on this canvas. So we're going to take that and we're going to do this. And this curves around, and then this guy's going to kind of curve around like this. You could even make it extra long if you wanted to. And do this. See? As it curves around his seaweed, you think of it like a snake kind of coming around and then doing this. That's the little end of it, okay? And we're going to kind of do this number. Right? Okay? Throw some pink in there. He's got the little fat cheeks that are a little fatter like this, eh? And then he's got this nice little neck, and then it starts to come around like this, and like this, this, and like this, little ridges. And then the back of his head comes up like this. I'm going to use my bigger brush into bigger territory now here. There we go. I'm going to make his body wider. If you notice, they have this little dorsal fin that comes out down here like this. Okay, don't worry about your other paint getting into it. We're going to go back and fix it. There we go. See? Because their body gets fatter up in here. Oh, what did I say? Fat again? I can't say that. It's curvy. He's a curvy seahorse. There we go. He goes like this. See? See? Look at that. Now he's starting to look like a seahorse. Okay, you know what? I'm going to make him bigger. Like that. I want to see him. I'm going to put more curve back here like this. You can do that too. And that would make his tail a little bigger, which is even better because then it kind of does that. See? He's got a lot of tail. They got a lot of tail to him when you really look at him. There. And boom, 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 boom. You're just kind of laying out the, there, see? You're laying out the body, and then this tail kind of comes around like this. Let's get my little brush again. Some pink and some white on it. a little bit of this yellow color. And we're going to make his tail come around even more. See? Because he's big. He's bigger. He got bigger. So we're going to do that. Here we go. And here. There we go. Okay. That's more interesting. And his dorsal fin's going to be back here. If you look at the way they're laid out, they have this funky little dorsal fin right here. So let's take some of this and kind of do this. Like so. Boop, boop, boop. And you can make it bigger if you want. You can make it whatever you want. It's your happy little painting. There. And then their face, they have like these little, that's why they look like a horse when it comes to the face. They have these little funky ear things. And then their nose, their mouth is really small, and they have a squared off little mouth like this. It kind of comes around like this. And then their fat cheeks like this. See? There you go. Now you got a seahorse. We're going to leave that shape because now we're going to go to the next one. So that way that paint has a chance to dry while we're working on the next one. And let's make this one kind of more of a pinkish color, since this neon pink was dying to flow all over my... Here we go. See? Look at this. We're going to throw some pink in here. Maybe a little red. And a little of this pink, which is basically like a really light with white. Throw a little more neon in here. So you get this nice kind of pinky color. And this one is going to be kind of doing this number. So you've got one right here, which is already that shape. I find it kind of confusing to look at him. I'm going to take him down because I already have it in my brain. Okay, this is what I want to do. So we're going to do, I'm going to make his head coming up like this because he's looking at this one. He's like, what are you doing? This is my territory. Do I like you? Do I know you? Do I want you around here? I don't know. I don't know. So here's his head, his little neck again, and then we're going to do this number again. Reep. And his tail's going to be coming around here, so we're going to do this. So basically you're just going to get the gesture or the shape of this dude like this. Okay? There we go. Okay. Yeah. It's just me. No worries. Come around like this. And we're going to come around like this. Watch. See? And this one's going to kind of come around like this. And then his neck kind of comes like this. And then his body gets fatter right around here like this. Boom. Here we go. See? Look at that. So he's kind of looking at this dude. It's like maybe they know each other. He's like, hey, didn't I see you last week down there by Turtle Grass 28 on the corner next to the, you know, Seahorse Club with so-and-so, Janice? I don't, you know what? Maybe this is Janice. That could be, and that could be Harold. Hey, they're seahorses. They got to have better names than that. Uh-oh, there's 3 people that just... And Harold turned it off. Okay. So now we have that kind of layout. Then we're going to do another one down here. I mean, I could go nuts and have them all over this. You can make them bigger, too, if you wanted to. You know, sometimes that's what it is. You have these great ideas of how you're going to do it. But then it doesn't really work out. We're going to do a purple one. So we're going to take this same pinky color and just throw some purple in it. And we're going to do one down here. And this guy's kind of doing his own thing. You're going to have a skinny nose. His little face is going to come around. Just remember the triangle shape. You can go back later. And we're going to come around like this. he's got a lot of curve. And then he's going to come around like this. And he's going to go right off, whoop, the canvas. See? Throw some purple, some pink, some purple. We're going to do this. There we go. Kind of do this blobby thing here. There we go. Don't worry about the ridges so much right now. We can go back and do the ridges. There we go. Look at that. Because see, this guy's a little closer. This one's a little farther. That one's a little farther. So this one should be the biggest. This is kind of medium, and that one's smaller. So we'll do that. So now you have this nice little thing going on here. And, you know, I'm going to leave just 3 seahorses because I'm going to throw in some little fish, I think, to kind of balance it out. But we're going to go with that. And then I'm going to throw some blue in here. Make his guy a little darker. There we go. I'll throw some white now. I'm going to brighten him up a bit. There. And then we're going to take this and throw his tail right off the page here. There. And you're like, what the? You know, take that skinny brush. And now we're going to go back and we'll make this guy a little. I'll throw some of that hot pink in there. And kind of come up and do this. Let's see, he's got nice, his neck looks a little long to me because his cheek isn't deep enough. So we're going to throw some white in with this. Let's get this out of the way here. There we go. We're doing this because I have a lot of paint on this canvas. It's not really dry. So I'm brightening them up a bit. I'm going to take some purple. Take some purple and throw it in there. There we go. And I'm going to kind of do this number with it. There we go. Remember, they have these funky faces. They kind of got the big cheek right here. Like this. Here. See, his body should be thicker right there. So when you look at it and you start painting him and you think, maybe I need to do this. Don't be afraid to step back and take a look at it. And we're going to start to do this stuff. There we go. This one's a chunky hunky. He's going to have these kind of, they have the ridges that run all up and down them. So you're going to start adding these ridges. Take your darker, just straight paint, whatever color you decided you're going to make yours. This one's purple. You're going to make your ridges there like this. And then underneath his little chin is going to be darker. So we're going to add some paint like this. There we go. See? Then underneath his little neck here, his chin. There we go. Here. Okay. And they have, basically their fins, they have one back here on their pectoral, or their dorsal fin is back here. Kind of comes out like this number. Okay. I'm going to take some white so you can see it. Some pink. Like this. Okay. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. You're going to throw some highlights in here like this. Where these ridges are. Okay. Like so. Take your brush, let the brush do the work for you. See? Then you can take some of that dark purple and make some rays where they come out in that fin, just like any other fin. I'm going to take some pink and throw it in there. Yeah. He's kind of psychedelic, this one. And there's some seahorses that have lots of colors in them that have different wacky colors, so if you want to do a wacky, weird one, and don't, and whatever you do, if you want to post it on my Facebook page, I'm going to put a picture of this when it's done on there. And if you want to say, hey, this is my version, and post it on there, I would love to see it, even if you think it sucks. Because you know what? We are the most critical of ourselves. There's some red. Let's throw some red in here, down in here. And you judge yourself. You're going to be super hard on yourself. That's the way people are. You're going to think, this is awful. This is awful. I can't do it. You know what? Just shut up and do it. And then when you finish it, then stop and look at it and go, oh, it's not so bad. You know what? And you'll be amazed at how your friends or people you know just look at it and go, that's really good. And you just go, ooh, I think it really sucks. But, you know, that's why I say you are so critical of yourself. They have a fin, another one, right here. If you ever watch them, they do this. It comes out on the sides of there, because their little gills are right here. Because they are fish, okay? So they have another happy little fin that kind of does this. I'm going to make it hang out like this. Sometimes you can't see them very well, okay? But we're going to make that one kind of come out, because I felt like it. Like this. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. You can add some lighter highlights to it, just so you can see it a little bit. And then he's got these little bumps on his back. They kind of do this. They kind of come out. They're like little nodules, I guess you could call them. Like where the ribs come out. See? Boom. Boom. Look at that. What? Now he's starting to look like some psychedelic seahorse. There we go. See? Boom, boom, boom. And then his face, he's got some colors around here that kind of come down like this. And you're thinking, where's his nose? Where's his eye? They have a skinny, tiny little mouth. Tiny little opening right there. So you take your little brush and just kind of do a little blob right in here. Not a big old, they're not alligators. Okay. His little nose kind of comes down. And now the eyes. They're very unique. The eye on a seahorse, they can move independently. Kind of like a whatchamacallit, a real Madagascar chameleon, where their eyes move independently. So what you're going to do is figure out where you're going to put this little eye and do the center, which I take brown and blue to make my dark, dark, dark. And mix it together, and you're going to do this. If my brush wants to cooperate here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put this right in here. That's kind of your eye. And then you can also use that to kind of shade down here if you want to. Throw it in underneath there. You know what I mean? Just kind of bring some darkness down here. Like this. Works down underneath like that. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. See? Now he's starting to look like a happy little seahorse because he's got an eye, so you can see what he's doing now. And he's got these little nodules on his head that kind of come down like this. And his fin. And the nodules here. little spikes, whatever you want to call them. Boom, boom, boom. And then it's going to be darker down here where this fin meets his back. There. And then the other thing is his eye, they stick out and they kind of come around like this. So you're going to take and go around like this. Like a circle around his eye. Kind of like the dog. What's his name? There we go. See? Ooh, ah. Kind of shaded around his eye and then around where his comes down. Like this. See? And then maybe some shading under his nose here. There we go. Maybe I'm going to throw some darker purple down in here. Boom, 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 boom. See? Look at that. He's a happy little seahorse. I need some darker colors down here. Stand out against this dark background. So we're going to go like this. Because this one's closer up. So his colors are going to be more intense. And a little bigger. Like he's right here. Okay. Boom. Clean your brush off. Now we're going to go to Mr. Pinkie Pie up here. And I'm going to take some pink. There we go. So I got this pink and white. Maybe throw some of this red in there. So it's, and you can even take some of this fluorescent orange. If you don't have the fluorescence, don't worry. It's not the end of the world. Okay. And then he's got this face that's kind of coming up like this. Yeah, like this. See, and then his little ears. They're not really ears, people. I know, it's hard to believe. They're not. I'm blowing away all these things you always thought you knew about seahorses. Are just all blown away. You're just gonna go home and cry now. Just sit there and like, oh, I knew seahorses, but I don't. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You want to fill all this in so you have a nice little background to do this dude on. And this one's kind of weird because his angle is half turned. So if yours looks a little weird, you know, don't freak out. Just keep working on it. There we go. And I see my tail got a little big there, so you just kind of do this number with it. No one will know. And then it wraps around here like this. It's going to come down. And if you accidentally paint over your green seaweed and you go, oh, I screwed up, just paint the green seaweed again. It's not a big deal. Just paint over it. There. Okay? Yeah. And see, you have to look at it and go, okay, this should go like this. There. See what I mean? Mine have really long tails, but they do have really long tails. So, and then let's do his little dorsal fin, which will be right about here. And that's kind of important where you put it. Don't put it like on the top of his head up here or whatever, because now it'll kind of throw out the whole proportions of the seahorse and he won't look as accurate. You'll see these drawings and paintings where they like just stick the fin wherever. And it's kind of like, well, if you want it to look that way, go for it. And they're not like gigantic either. They're not really good swimmers. That's why they're so vulnerable. There we go. Hey, look at that. See, there's this happy little dorsal fin. And then, let's see, he's got like another fin that kind of comes out. If you look, I'll hold this up so you can see it. This one's kind of funky right here. They have a fin right here. It's almost impossible to see because they have a gill that comes through here, and the little fin does this. And it's flat against their body, so you don't see it normally. I made that one kind of stand out, but I'm going to do the same thing kind of right here, like this. Because of the angle, this one may be sticking out a little more. And then we're going to take some red. And we're going to kind of do this. You're like, what? This is his little, underneath his little face here. He's coming up. And then we're going to start doing the happy little ridges, like this. And they go with shape. They don't just go straight down, okay, people? Because his body doesn't go straight down. So we're going to do this. Boom, 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 boom. See? There we go. And you want the red kind of underneath. You take some purple and the red, and then maybe some of that fluorescent orange. Here, see, I'm doing this so you can see. There's some of that hot pink in there. Some of that red. You want a decent amount of paint on there, because you're going to kind of try and give him a cheek like this. See? And you make a ridge. It kind of comes down like this. There we go. Yeah, see, they kind of do this, and they kind of come all the way back, and then he's got the ridge on the back like this. Okay. And then he's got this happy fin that you did just a minute ago. You have the rays. You get too much paint on your brush, it blobs like that. So just take a little off on your palette, and then you can dab it down in here. Then we're going to keep going like this. See, he's got these on his back. They kind of just boop, 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 boop. Like that. See? He's a happy seahorse. You have happy trees. We don't have happy trees. We have happy seahorses. We have happy grass and a happy little sea. See? And you can do this and kind of draw it down like that. See? Now we got happy seahorses. And the kitty wants out. There we go. See, you can do this number. And just keep doing the little ridges. And then when you get over here, you kind of do this number. Yeah. See? Boom. Like this. There. And then throw some more on this tail. This tail looks a little... You can't tell where it is and where it stops. So we're going to kind of do that. Now we're going to kind of come down here and do this number with it. There we go. With some red. Throw some red in there. Red's pretty intense, so when you use red, don't go nuts. A little bit of red is kind of like spices. A little bit goes a long way. Black is like the strongest spice at all. Black is like cayenne or ghost pepper. I mean, it's like, don't use it unless you really, really, really want it. Something, it kind of overpowers everything too. Or maybe you want really goth, dark seahorses, so, you know, if that's the case, then fine. See? And he's kind of pinky winky. I'm going to throw other colors in him, but let's go work on his face a little bit. I'm just going to do this a little. Kind of have a ridge up here like this. There's his little mouth. Kind of does this. and kind of comes down like underneath his chin, kind of doing this number. Now we're going to do the eye again. Now we do the same thing with the blue and the brown, so you get this seriously dark, 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 dark. And his eye is probably going to be right around here because he's busy staring at this other guy. Okay? And then you're going to take your purple and red. And you're going to kind of do this number around it, like this. See? And then he's got this kind of fin coming out here kind of thing. See? Look at that. That kind of comes up like this. And we're going to throw some of that on there. I got too much paint there. Boom, boom, boom. See? And it kind of comes down like this. I got to do this. Let me take some of this red over here. Kind of throw the red in there like this. See? He's got a lot of red. Here. And then maybe some more purple. There, we're going to go with that. And see, the light's kind of hitting him this way, so you want to keep the top of that light. And then this is darker because of his face. And actually the back of it right here would be kind of darker because of that. See, like this. And then we can kind of just do this number. There we go. See? They're just simple seahorses. These aren't like I'm going crazy and I'm going to, you know, submit it to somebody for, oh, that doesn't look right. You know what I mean? Somebody's going to go, that's not anatomically correct. There's going to be people who are going to do that anyway. They really don't have enough to do, so, you know, they like to pick on stuff. Okay, I'm going to take a little break, let my cat out, then I'm going to paint this other dude. Alrighty, we're back, and we're going to start on our happy little, let's go with the round brush. We're going to go with this yellow dude up here. So where is my paper plate? It's important to keep, see on this palette here is kind of blues and greens. This palette here is kind of your pinks and reds. And now this one here is going to be my yellows. And if you get too muddy, clean, you know, change your water. I'm going to mix some yellow and white together so I get this nice light color. And see, this paint has had a chance to dry. So now I have this nice kind of lemon yellow color. I'm going to lay this down in here so that he's going to stand out a little more and be a little easier to see. And also, he's higher up in the water and he's going to have more light on him. So he's going to be a little lighter and brighter. You know, unless this guy is like a neon dude, he's darker, he's down in the water more. Chances are he's not going to have as much, he won't be as easy to see. There we go. We have that dorsal fin back here again. We got this fin going on up here. It's really hard to see. Gonna put that one down. Gonna get my happy little brush again. Scoot up here. Take some of this nice bright yellow and some white. And this is some really intense colors right here, yellow and white. And we're gonna kind of come up and do his little nose, and then over here like this. So his little mouth, and then this little fin that kind of does this. That you can't really see, but it's there. And then his back's going to have a little ridge, I need more paint and more water. It's important to get that right mix, that happy medium, so you can get your paint doing what you want it to do without it running down the canvas, but still thick enough where it covers up what you want to cover up and you do what you want to do. It's like anything else, it just takes practice till you get it right and you figure it out. So yes, there is a certain amount of talent, and everybody's like, well, you just know how to do it. Well, you know, yeah, okay. But there's also a lot of it is skill and practice. I mean, you take a guy like old Bob Ross, who basically didn't even start painting till he was older. And he learned from somebody this wet on wet technique, and people liked it, and he started doing it. And you know, with me, I just been drawing forever, and then started painting. I started painting more, I want to say, like in high school, junior high. I mean, I painted always anyway, but it was like watercolor. Watercolor is very unforgiving, and it's sometimes kind of hard to do. I don't think it is, but I think if you start out in something like that, and see, I'm going to go over here and highlight this dude's eye right here. And you know, like I've talked before about using colors throughout, so to balance your painting. If you see that this guy, these are your highlights up here, look at that. That's like the sunlight hitting his happy little face. And then you're going to see it over here too, where the sunlight's hitting his happy little tail down here. It also helps you see that, okay? You get the highlights here, here, like right here. Since you got this nice bright white kind of lemon yellow, see? All of a sudden now it stands out more, and you can even do it down in here on this dude's face. He's got his happy little skinny face right here, and it's around the eye as well, on the top, just the top, not the whole thing. And kind of do this around him too, like this, like that, and all of a sudden you can kind of see it. But yeah, he's going to get darker down here, so you're not going to see it. You might have like a little bit up in here, and then maybe a little bit hitting him on the side, like this, but not like tons of it, see? And then like, okay, I don't like that on his eye so much, so I may go back and just go, you know what, I'm just going to throw in some of this down here, right there. See, I didn't like that. Right there, like that. Boom. That's better, see? It's not a mistake. It's a happy accident. So I'm going to take some of this neon orange that I have. If you don't have neon orange, you can just take some red, like this red right here. Throw that in there, and now you're going to get some kind of orangey red color. And now we're going to come in here and kind of do the ridges. Boom, 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 boom. And remember, they curve as the direction of his tail changes, so does the direction of these. And then you're going to have the bumps on his back, like this. See? You're going to kind of come in here and just do these. Boom, 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 boom. Underneath his face is going to be darker. Underneath his chin is going to be darker. And then he's going to have this happy little fin right here on his face where his gills are. They kind of come around because they have a gill right in here, like that. And then this fin kind of comes over it. And he's got these little bumps. The ridges, the bumps. And then it's darker under here. And he's got this right here. And I need more paint. And throw some red in here. Watch this. What? I told you red is the big deal, right? It's also darker. You want darker right here, darker right here, darker, 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 darker. See? Like this. And then once again, this is underneath. Like this. Because the light is coming from here. It literally is coming from there. So, you're going to make him darker down here. And then this whole section of his tail is going to be a little darker right here. Like this. Like that. And then this part here. Once again, the direction of the paint, as well as the colors, has an effect on how your painting looks. And you see, I went over the green there, and you're thinking, oh, you screwed it up. Well, yeah, I kind of did, but, you know, I can fix it. It's not the end of the world. But I'm not going to worry about it right now, because I'm working on this dude. So, we're going to kind of just shade. And if your paint, you use your paint a little thinner, it still has that darker color on it, you can kind of shade underneath like this, see? And then you got where his fin, I want that darker, so I'm going to grab some of this red. And I might even take some brown and throw that in there, and now it's going to be really dark. Watch. See? You can kind of do this number. Just use it down here. And I'd like down here under this fin, and where the rays come out on this fin, like this. See? Where this is too, this is going to be darker. Like that. See? And one thing I've noticed with cheaper paint is it doesn't cover as well. It's not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just not going to cover as well. So when you go to do things like this, you may just have to use more of it. So, unlike these fluorescents are kind of cheap paints. So, the only good thing about them is they do give you that brightness. There, see? So basically now what you've done is you've created these funky chunkies on here. And what we're going to do his eye. We're going to take that same, I'm going to go with like this phthalo blue. Here, see, and you do the phthalo blue and the brown, and now you get this almost, to me, it's a truer black than just black. And his little eye is going to be right here. See? They don't have a really big pupil. You notice he's farther away. This one is a little closer right there. And then this guy is closer, so he's going to have a darker eye and a bigger eye pupil. Okay? And you know, you may just want to do a fun version of this where yours are just kind of, let's throw them on the canvas and do the paint and do wild colors, and that is completely fine. I'm going to make this a little darker under here. Do the same dark color like this. Kind of shade it. There. See? If you know, you look at it and you're like, oh, it needs it here, it needs it here. And see, you can do that and take your time with it. You can rush and do it real fast and just put colors on there and go, I'm done. It's up to you. Now we're going to go back to this guy's face. Now you have his eye. We're going to do this. Once again, you do the circle around his eye. See? Look at that. All of a sudden we have an eye. And they have the weirdest eyes. You can see it in this photograph, this one here. You can see there's like a regular eye. They look like a fish eye, except they're mounted, they stick out and they move independently. They're really neat to watch. So we're going to kind of do this. And throw some of this on here. And it doesn't have to be a total straight line. Dots and colors together, your eye will make them one. You know, when you look at a painting close up, it's just colors thrown on a canvas, really. So it's kind of amazing what your eye puts together to create the total image when it's done. You know, and you're just like, some of these great paintings, you look at them up close and they're just blotches of paint. You're just like, but it's this, it's that. Oh yeah, it is. But up close, it's blotches of paint. And then as you get farther back, you look at it and go, oh. And that's what's kind of neat about it. Don't overwork it. It's easy to do. There we go. See his happy little eye. I might just make his pupil just a little bit bigger. Or maybe do a little space right around his eye here. I'll do that. See if I can do it without ruining it. There. You can almost see the iris around his eye. Eyes are important. We're going to kind of do this with his too. If you kind of blow the eye sometimes, you'll kind of blow the whole thing. There, that's better. Yeah, I think I'll make his pupil just a hair bigger. That's why it's better to go small on the eye, on the pupil at first, and then if you want to add to it, you can. There we go. There. That's better. And if you blow it and make it way too big, you can always paint over it. And if you want to move it a little, just do that. You take, there's no paint on that brush. I just washed it off and dab it off so it's dry, and then you can kind of move the paint around with it. Okay? And I'm going to take my round brush again, that I had all this neat yellow still stuck on here, and take some more yellow and some more white. Look at this nice lemony yellow color here. And we're going to kind of do this. See? Because he's like a really light yellow color. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. See? Look at that. There. All right. Now, we got some happy little seahorses here. And they're just having a great time. But why? What are they so happy about? Because they're seahorses? Because they're swimming around? They're hanging on these weeds? Is that what it is? I'll just do some more here. I'm thinking that maybe they're eating. You know, and I told you earlier they like to eat brine shrimp, right? Which are also known as sea monkeys, if you're old, like me. But the thing about them is sea monkeys are super small and very hard to see. So if these guys were eating sea monkeys, I'm not kidding you, they'd be like about this big. So what we're going to do is do this. Put these little dabs, and maybe this one's got one in its mouth. Look at that. This one does too. And these guys are swimming away. This is how they swim away. I mean, literally, they are blobs. And they're going to go right up off the canvas like this. They are little tiny dudes. Not a lot, just a little. See? And you're thinking, what? So if anybody asks you what they're doing, you can tell them they're eating sea monkeys. And maybe there's some down here. This one's going to be a little bigger. My sea monkeys are kind of a tannish color. They're that orange that I was using with this guy, and I just mixed a little brown and white in there. And now you get sea monkeys. Okay, if you were to draw a sea monkey, he'd be like this. Here we go. And he's got a little tail and a little head like this. And then they have all these little legs, kind of like an itty-bitty tiny shrimp, because that's what they are. That is about 100 times as big as a real sea monkey. The real one's about this size. Okay, so if you're looking at them in a painting, like this, they're literally a dot. which makes it easier for you. See, this guy's closer up, and then there's some over here. And then, okay, maybe there's a couple of happy little fish swimming around, so we're going to take some of this blue. I got 2 shades of blue here. And most fish are kind of silver. So we're going to take some white. And we're going to throw some white with this blue. Maybe throw a little brown in there, which makes it gray. Oh yeah, look at that. What? And then maybe there's just a couple of little fish swimming around down here like this. See? Once again, you're not going to be doing the whole fish with every detail in it. You're just doing his shape. Kind of like if you watch the crab one, I did these the dudes on there. See, and he's swimming right off the canvas. They're swimming up here to going, what are you doing? You want to see? Oh, we want some of those sea monkeys. Yummy. Okay. Because these little fish would be all over these sea monkeys. See what I mean? It's a little school of fish. You're just doing a basic shape. Like this, see? And you don't want them all over the canvas. You're just making it a little more interesting. Maybe have one up here. Because they're just starting to get... Because if these fish are really up in here, eating all these sea monkeys, believe me, these seahorses are not going to be eaten. They're hiding again. They're not doing anything. Then we're going to take some of that neat brown and blue mixture that you made for the eyeball here. Make it, it's going to be darker, and then do a little darker on the top like this. See? Just kind of real faint. They're not really super detailed. They're just kind of in the background. You can take this brown and blue and mix it in there if you want to get it a little darker like this. See? Kind of just dab it on here. See? And then this one here, you're going to do it along the top of their back. Because fish are darker on the top and lighter on the bottom, and that's so nobody can see them. If you're a predator looking down, you're not going to see them. And the other thing is if you're a predator looking up, you're not going to see them because their light bellies reflect the light. See, if you understand what you're painting and how they work and how they're built, it makes sense. See? Okay. And now if you want to make some highlights on this grass, you got this lovely yellow still in here. So hey, we can do this. Look, you can kind of do this like this. Maybe there's this kind of doing this stuff. And this one, the sunlight's hitting it down here. Okay. And maybe this one, just a little bit, is hitting it. And I see I smeared one of my fish. That's alright. And see this one here. Remember we said we were going to fix that? We're going to do this. Look at this. See? Sunlight's hitting it here, here. Maybe a little here. Boom, boom. We're going to do a little of this right up in here. It's not going to hit down in here, right? Doesn't make sense. But it would hit up in here. Like this. Maybe a little bit. You could thin it out. And when it's thinner, it's not going to be as bright, but it's still going to be there. It looks brighter when you first put it on a canvas. As it dries, it gets duller. Watch, it's like magic. See? And by doing that too, it also makes it look more three-dimensional, because now these look like they're in front of the other ones or behind, like this one here, like this. See, like we're going to do a little piece right in here, maybe like this. See, and this one's brighter up in here. And if you say, well, you know what, I don't like it that bright. I don't like that. Well, just take your brush, clean it off. So it just has water on it. And now what you're going to do is kind of go over it with just the water. And what you're doing is diluting it. So when it dries, it's going to be lighter. Like up in here. It's like, oh, you know what? I don't want it quite that light. So just do this. Rather than trying to paint over it, we're just adding very subtle highlights here. If you mix your paint really thin with not a lot of color, like this dude up here. See this one here. See, and then like this one here. There. See? Now all of a sudden the grass looks like it's kind of doing this. See, like my hand, it's like 3D, right? And you can even do the opposite if you have grass that's screaming all green and it looks like it's all standing out. And you're looking at it going, oh, that would never work. I'm going to take, like, I have this lime green, which I ended up not using. And I'm going to take some of this olive green. And I'm going to take some of this brown. I'm going to mix it together until I get this kind of drabby brown. And then maybe come down in here and do this. See? What? See? Boom. And then this color here. Just a little, just to give it a little more 3D kind of look. Right? And I also noticed a place where I didn't go off the canvas. So I'm going to take my happy brush and just fix all the spots I forgot. Like right up here. And I really should use my round brush for this. There we go. That I have covered in bright yellow paint. So there. We're going to mix that. We're going to take this dark green here. I'm going to take this and some brown. Dilute it down, and then there we go. Now we can do this. See if you can see it. See where it comes off the canvas like that. Fix all the grass so it comes off. And you're thinking, well, what does that matter? Well, you know, if you don't put this in a frame and you hang it on the wall like this, maybe you hang it up fairly high and you're like looking at it going, oh, look at that. And then you look at the bottom and you go, oh, it didn't like go anywhere. It's kind of stupid. Yeah, so see, you know, you don't want to be that person that walks up to your painting and looks at it, or you do it even worse, and you look at your own painting after you've done it and you hang it on the wall and you look at it underneath and you go, oh hell, I didn't do this. So, you know what I mean? And you can kind of do this if you want places to be darker and stand out more or less. Basically, you're just fine-tuning it. Kind of give it a little more depth. It's up to you. And like say, okay, I don't really like this much brightness right here. I had this nice dark edge, so let's bring that dark edge back. You can kind of just paint over it like this. Subtle, subtle. See? And then let's take some of the green and the brown and kind of just dot. See? Dot. Same with this. Like that. And then maybe where his little, see that spot that I kind of screwed up? Now I'm fixing it. See? Boom! And then right up in here, same thing. So, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. If you screw something up, you can go back and fix it later. It's not that big of a deal. Don't get your panties in a wad, okay? There. There we go. See? Now it's got more dimensions. And maybe you don't want it to have dimensions. Maybe you want it flat and just colors, and that's your choice. You can do that. There we go. We got our happy little campers. And I could do more shading on that top one if I wanted to, but hey, I think I'm good. So now I'm going to just sign it, seal it, deliver it. I'm going to go with some red and some pink. Look at that. Ugh. And then maybe some of my happy white over here. And I'm going to need this nice, bright, gaudy color. And I'm going to put it right down here. You can do whatever color you want. Or maybe you don't want to sign yours. You're like, I don't like it. Okay, fine. But like I said, as much as you think your painting is awful, I guarantee you there's somebody's going to come along and go, God, that's really good. I really like that. That's right, you did a good job. And you're just going to go, really? Happens to me all the time. Anyway. It's like, you like it? Really? Oh, okay. Here. So if you're somebody that loves seahorses, there we go. I don't do it really fast like some people. Okay. Maybe you think, well, it stands out too much. My name is too bright. It's up to you. I could go over it. I'll wait till it dries. If I don't like it, I might darken it up with some red. This depends. But basically, there you have it, your happy little seahorses. You could make, this is an 11 by 14 canvas. You could do it on an 8 by 10. If you did an 8 by 10, you might want to just do 2, and then maybe this guy would be cut off more, you know, be more like in here. Or you might just do it the same way, and they're smaller. Or you could just do 1 and do boom right there. It's up to you. It's like I said, it's your painting, not mine. But voila, the simple, sassy seahorses.